Hello, everyone. It's such a privilege to be on this stage with all of you. I did hear that there are 700 of you in this room. And to be honest, I didn't expect this much audience. And I feel so proud and so much part of this community because I feel that there are 700 of HR and people advocate in this room. And nothing is better than standing here as a HR leader of one of the enterprise to be with all of you. I also understand that some of you are students, some are teachers, some are HR people in the company, some are CEOs. So again, thank you so much for being here to embrace people and HR. So I'm from IBM, and I did want to talk a little bit about IBM and where things are with our enterprise. So some of you may know about it's an old company, 107 years old. So it's a technology company, but not a typical image of a tech company. So this morning we heard from the Prime Minister, Frederick Reinfeldt, about change, where everyone embraced change except for themselves. Well, IBM has been changing past 100 years, and we are reinventing ourselves constantly. So it's almost like a change is a BAU, business as usual. And because of that, perhaps we are among those people who may embrace change that are to ourselves, but that become a sort of a BAU. And that's kind of how we reinvent ourselves. You hear that IBM are going through a lot of transformation, and that is indeed true. One thing that I want to also highlight, though, is our technology focus, research focus, because IBM has been #1 in patent leadership in the USA for past 25 years consecutive. By the way, #2 is Samsung. So IBM is still ahead of Samsung, but compared to a lot of the tech companies, both Samsung and IBM are well-established companies. So we can still invent. We can do a lot of things with technology. It's just that we have to constantly reshape and reinvent ourselves. I represent IBM HR for IBM Asia Pacific. And it's a very diverse geography. So I do want to also acknowledge here that Jessica this morning, Netflix, did mention that Netflix don't have a process. Well, IBM has a process because it's very diverse and it's very complex. And without any process, it's going to be a chaos. So we do have a process. But again, process is things that we constantly revisit and reinvent because India, IBM, has 100,000 people, 100,000. Wow. And IBM Korea is 2,000. So compared to the, to different markets, the way that we work through in India are very different from the way that we work through in Korea to be successful. And to be able to keep things as one IBM, which is our important agenda, we again try to reinvent what we do constantly. Let me just talk about the transition and transformation that we have been driving. You may have heard 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, of the globalization or global standardization in technology. So what was popular back then, and a lot of large companies, including IBM, did embrace, was to standardize things as if the world is one size, and we can try to do a one-size-fits-all kind of a mechanization, systematization, and try to be productive at a global scale. So that's no longer true with IBM or with many innovative companies. And we are trying to use technology today to bring two things to the enterprise. One is that HR or the people are also part of the business. So we are using technology to bring return on investment, ROI, to our company. So that's kind of exciting and also very business-focused part of HR. And I think all of you would also feel that I think Marc said we are no longer a personal department. And we are not. we really are part of the business, and HR and people equal business, and we are all striving toward maximizing return on our investment. That's one side. The other side is to maximize each individual employee experience. And I think this morning there were discussions about that already, how to empower each employee. That the whole point here is to maximize employee empowerment so that each individual can unleash his or her energy to make a difference and bring value to the company, to the society. Okay. And the new culture that we are trying to drive through is to be very transparent, open to feedback, open to failure, and people are highly engaged as one team, as part of the enterprise, part of a society. What has moved the needle for IBM? So I'll talk about two things, and I'll continue on this ROI path, return on investment, and individual employee experience. And let me talk about a few examples here. I put here a few star marks here: proactive retention, cognitive pay, your learning, Watson Career Coach. These are examples that I wanted to just highlight today to show some of the things that we do using our technology. Just a two quote. Technology doesn't only drive efficiency, but it fuels collective innovation. And analytics is a predictive management tool for driving ROI, business performance. One example, we predict attritions at IBM using IBM research technology extensively. And we have been doing that for past 6, 7 years. I was in New York 6 years ago running compensation for IBM. So I was part of this a very big initiative to predict attrition. What we do is that we analyze different populations across the world, 380,000 people that we have. We bring them into different clusters, grouping by where they are, what they do, what their experiences are, their performance, their pay level. We create cluster of employees. And we identify areas where there is a high propensity to leave, high propensity to leave the organization. And after several years, we have become so good in that prediction that we also know what actions are needed exactly to be able to retain that cluster of employees with high attrition or high propensity to leave. So where we have become sort of an expert through this technology is that, let's say in India, in this market or site, we have 10,000 employees, of which the attrition rate tends to be 20%. 20%. So we know what levers to pull, particularly with regard to compensation, to make sure that we can bring the 20% back down to 10%. 10%. So what does that do? Of course, it requires investment. So we do invest money to be able to bring the 20% attrition to 10%. At the same time, I talked to my CFO how much saving that could bring to the company. Why is that saving? Because once people leave the company, you have to hire new people to backfill him or her. You have to train that person who came on board with an education cost. There's also a productivity loss in between the people leaving, new people coming. So we can quantify again with research technology all of that loss of money that is part of this attrition. So what we have come up with, and this is the kind of where HR leader and CFO shake our hand, is that I tell my CFO, hey, I can save you a lot of money if you give me a lot of money. That's the whole equation. And I use the investment to bring more saving to the business through reduced attrition. And this has been going on for the past few years. And the beauty of this is that in the past, HR leader and a finance leader always debated what is the right level of compensation investment. So some of you who are part of HR leadership may go through that every year with your CFO. In many instances, technology has solved that because this equation brings win-win to both HR and CFO. That's technology that is very new, but very powerful in terms of bringing HR very close and very well aligned with the whole business. So that is the one example, good example of technology being used to bring maximum business impact to our enterprise. Let me go to the individual side, and it's a bit hard to read maybe, but we have this Watson Career Coach. So Watson Technology, some of you know, is an AI platform of IBM. And what we have been able to do was to install in Watson all the knowledge and technology that would help each employee to guide his or her career path and give them a guidance to what career would be the best suitable one for your next step or next step, what learning you need in order to accomplish your goal, short-term, long-term. So you can use mobile app to ask questions to Watson, and Watson can give you career guidance through this whole interactive tool. And this is very powerful. At the same time, technology doesn't replace people neither. So what we do is we run the career conversation campaign between manager and employee simultaneously so that the people use this technology to be able to find out what he or she should be doing next for his or her career development. As they also talk to managers and upline managers to get a live guidance and live mentorship in terms of their career. So it's technology and people working together side by side. And that's what we are trying to drive for, to maximize employee experience at IBM. Similar things on the learning front. So it's called MICA, which is a learning tool, which is linked to the Watson Career Coach, where through the Watson Career Coach and with your career conversation, you come up with a good idea as to what would be the right next step for your career, or what would be the right next step. Both the skill set as well as the location, whether you want to be the people leader or the individual contributor, there are many options. But this gets linked into this Your Learning MICA, where you can choose autonomously which learning module to take and which ones are most effective, because you know that what is needed from the Watson Career Coach and from your career conversation. And they're going to link up with a MICA tool to be able to provide autonomously the type of education that you feel are important to develop your career. So the revolution here is a company no longer dictate, you take this education, you take that training. It's all autonomously done through employee exploration, through their own initiative to find out what learning skills, what learning modules are suitable to develop his or her skill. And this is a culture change because it makes people autonomous and it makes people totally empowered to develop himself or herself to be a better leader or a better expert going forward. One more thing I just wanted to highlight is the so-called cognitive talent alert. So technology is very effective to be able to remind people what are the, people management sensitivities that you have to keep in mind. So when the high performers are doing a great job, then hey, it's time to give a recognition for an employee because you haven't done that for some time to this individual. Or things like birthday is coming up to one of your employees in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So why don't you start thinking about what message to write to him or her? Or things like your manager appointment. If you are to appoint manager, what are the necessary soft skills that you need in terms of your communication, your congratulation, to make sure that your employee being promoted or being appointed can maximize his or her sense of accomplishment and embrace the next adventure. So all these are sort of alert to remind managers of the next step and guide him or her for effective people management. Now, again, I also go back to our earlier notion that these are just tools. And unless managers are very conscious in how to use those effectively, it doesn't really change the culture. So if managers don't have a strong emotion to really celebrate someone's appointment or birthday or compensation increase, it's just a reminder. It doesn't do much. So again, people leadership is people leadership. It doesn't replace those tools. At the same time, those tools are very powerful to help managers and help people be aware of what are the sensitivities that one needs to exert to be effective in people leadership. Lastly, I want to change the subject a little bit here to talk about a new color. So IBM right now, across Asia Pacific, and also in the USA, are embracing a so-called new color. And this goes back to Mr. Frederick Reinfeld's earlier notion that people really aren't judged today based on their specific academic criteria, academic certificate, or age, or what they have done, in the past. Things are much more evolving in terms of what talent are needed in today's era, and what this talent can do to make a change, make a difference in the future. So it's no longer blue color, no longer new color. We, particularly in places in Singapore, Australia, a few places, including Korea, we are starting to really form a partnership with tech schools to really develop together the talent out of tech school. And we collaborate in that 1-year, 2-year program to train them with IBM technology. And in Singapore case, we give back half the people to Singapore society while we employ half of them within IBM. So it's a collaboration between the company and Singapore government to jointly develop people who have graduated from a tech school. And this is called a new color. And when we first started early this year, people weren't quite sure, but this is becoming a big hit because people are finding that actually those people are even more flexible and more adaptable to learning than established high-degree students. So again, talent are very evolving, and what type of people you want to employ, how you want to develop, that's all up to you. And there's no stereotype establishment that we can count as a paradigm. It's changing. So again, the talent landscape is very much evolving. And like this new color, we are coming up with different ways to make sure that we can embrace and be very inclusive in sourcing workforce from the market and develop them and give them back to the society. So that was an example of IBM that I wanted to share with you. And back to my earlier starting comment, it's a 100-year company, a 100-year-old company that is still trying to reinvent itself every day. And as long as we are part of that reinvention process, I feel, or we feel, that we can embrace the change that is taking place in the society and can lead the society with the right leadership, using the right technology, and technology and leadership are win-win equation to all of us. Thank you very much for listening.